Hey, there you are. If you like the content I bring, your help is essential. For the channel to remain active and grow more and more, I need your support. Each new follower is a huge incentive to continue creating exciting stories and videos full of fun and adventures. Also, by subscribing, you help me convert this passion into sustainable work, which allows me to offer you even more surprising content. As soon as you don't forget to subscribe, please like and share. Your participation makes all the difference. The country house has always been Isadora's refuge. She grew up there, surrounded by the smell of wet earth and the smiles of her parents. To outsiders, the Campos family was perfect, traditional, wealthy, close-knit. But perfection was just a facade. Isadora was the middle child, the only one who never felt like she belonged. Her parents smiled, but their eyes didn't shine for her. Her older brother, Enrique, was the pride of the family. Her younger sister, Bianca, was the sweet girl everyone protected. And Isadora was the one who was always left out. Still, she tried. She dedicated herself to her studies, obeyed, and kept her pains to herself. Until everything changed on that gray September morning, when she overheard a conversation she should never have heard. "She doesn't know, and it's better that it stays that way," her mother said. "You know she's not one of us." Isadora froze behind the door. Her father added coldly, "It was a mistake from the past, a mistake I accepted out of pride. But now she needs to get out of the way." The words echoed like sharp blades. For a few seconds, she didn't know what to think. Her legs were shaking. Her heart was pounding in her chest. She wanted to believe that it was a misunderstanding, a misinterpreted metaphor. But the tone in her parents' voices was dry, definitive. And in that instant, something died inside her. The world she knew, or thought she knew, collapsed. The blood in her veins felt strange, heavy, as if it belonged to another body. Isadora retreated silently, tears streaming, and fled through the back door like a stranger in her own house. The pain was not immediate. It was slow, like poison. In the following days, she kept quiet. She observed. She listened. She gathered together loose fragments of conversations and finally understood. Isadora was the fruit of a betrayal. Her mother had conceived her with another man, and her father, out of pride or fear of scandal, took the child in. But he had never loved her. He had never seen her as a daughter. Her entire childhood, the absences, the distant glances, the unspoken words, it all made sense now. She was not a Campos. She was a mistake, a weight, a burden. And yet, even immersed in pain, something inside her lit up, a spark. If before she had sought belonging, now she would seek the truth. And maybe, just maybe, revenge. Not out of hate, but out of justice. For the ignored child, for the silenced young woman, for the wounded woman. Isadora began to investigate silently. She searched through old documents, emails, travel records, everything she could find. Until one name came up repeatedly, Eduardo Lacerda, a former farm employee who had suddenly been removed from his family years ago. She cross-referenced information and discovered that Eduardo was her real father, a simple but honest man. Unlike the Campos family, who valued their image more than the truth. With each discovery, Isadora felt a mixture of anger and relief. She had an origin, and it wasn't that cold house full of secrets, but the wound was too deep to be healed simply with a name. She wanted to confront them, show them that she knew, that they had failed, not for hiding her, but for never having loved her. Her mother's birthday dinner would be the perfect occasion. Everyone would be there, family, friends, the local high society. Isadora dressed up like never before, a red dress, her eyes lined, her posture erect. On the outside, she was elegant and serene. On the inside, she was a whirlwind. When the moment came, she asked to speak. The room fell silent. "I want to toast the truth," she said, raising her glass. "To the parents who hide secrets, to the families who prefer lies to shame. I want to toast betrayal, contempt and pain disguised as care." Her father stood up abruptly, trying to interrupt her. Her mother turned pale. But she continued, "I know everything. I know who I am. And I'm not a Campos. I'm Eduardo Lacerda's daughter. And you're just the authors of my greatest wound." Chaos ensued. Guests murmured. Some stood up embarrassed. The mother cried. The father tried to maintain his composure. Enrique and Bianca seemed lost, as if they had discovered at that moment that the world could also fall apart for them. Isadora, however, felt a strange peace. For the first time, she was not silent. She was not submissive. She left the hall, leaving behind a trail of shame and silence. In the following days, she moved to the capital, rented a small apartment, and cut off contact with everyone, except for Eduardo, who agreed to meet her. He was not a hero, nor a prince. He was just a man marked by life, who cried when he saw her and said, "Forgive me for not being there." She did not respond. It still hurt. But in that tight hug, Isadora felt something new. A beginning. Life in the capital was not easy. Isadora started from scratch. Simple jobs, tight bills, lonely nights. But there was freedom, and with it came reconstruction. She studied at night, worked during the day. She discovered talents she didn't know she had. One of them, writing. She began to write her story in the form of chronicles. She used a pseudonym. The texts went viral, stories of ignored, wounded, silenced women. It was as if each word was an exposed scar, transformed into art. And that was how, 2 years later, her name returned to the campus halls. Not as the rejected daughter, but as the author of a bestseller that exposed the secrets of an aristocratic family. Without naming names, she had said it all. Society applauded. The Campos remained silent. Enrique was the first to seek her out. He wanted to talk and explain, but Isadora was no longer willing to listen. Her sister, Bianca, sent sporadic messages, trying to maintain a bond that never really existed. Her mother finally wrote a letter. "If I could go back in time, I would have done everything differently, but maybe you would have stopped being who you are." Isadora read the letter but did not respond. There was something definitive in that silence. Her revenge was not to scream or destroy. It was to blossom, to show that even though she was excluded, she survived. And what's more, she won. Eduardo, now more present, attended book launches and went to events. Her real father, after all, was not the one who gave her her name. He was the one who reached out to her when no one else did. Time passed. Isadora became a respected public figure. She was invited to give lectures, give interviews, and receive tributes. But there was a discreet emptiness that insisted on remaining. Sometimes at night, she would remember the country house, the smell of the earth, the smiles that she now knew were fake. The pain did not disappear completely. She simply learned to live with it. Some pains are not cured. They are transformed into strength, into art, into determination. One day, she received unexpected news. Her father had suffered a stroke. He was between life and death. Her mother, desperate, sought her out. "He wants to see you," she said, crying. Isadora hesitated. She knew that that moment would define much more than the end of the story. It would define who she had become. The woman who forgives, or the one who moves forward without looking back. The atmosphere in the hospital was tense. Isadora entered the room with firm steps. Her father was pale, fragile, different from the proud man she had known. He tried to speak, but could barely articulate the words. With effort, he held her hand. His eyes, filled with tears, sought redemption. She felt the weight of that gesture. It was a request for forgiveness, a silent acknowledgement. She said nothing. She just stood there for a few minutes, allowing him to look at her. Then she got up and left. That was what he deserved, not his absence, but the firm presence of someone who survived. Her mother hugged her in the hallway, crying. Isadora did not hug him back. "I didn't come back for you. I came back for myself, to end this cycle." And so it was. She went home without looking back. Months passed. Her father passed away. Isadora didn't go to the funeral. She didn't feel guilty. She felt relief. A cycle was ending. Her mother moved to a smaller house. Bianca went on with her life, now far from Campos. Enrique threw himself into business, as always. And Isadora flourished. She created a foundation to help young women in situations of abandonment. She gave lectures around the country. She wrote new books. She no longer needed to shout to be heard. Her silence now had weight, respect, and her story, once hidden, now inspired others to rise up. One night, at a literary event, a young woman approached her. Shyly, she handed her a letter. "Your story saved mine," she said. Isadora smiled, moved. She didn't need anything else. The pain of the past had found purpose. The camps, the rejection, the contempt, all of that was now just the prologue of a woman who learned to live with her scars exposed, but without ever bowing to the pain. Isadora's story was not about abandonment. It was about rebirth, about turning blood, even if impure in the eyes of others, into powerful ink to rewrite one's own destiny. Years later, Isadora returned to her hometown for an award ceremony. She would be honored as an illustrious citizen. The irony was sweet. On stage, in front of so many who once despised her, she told her story. Not to humiliate, but to remind people that all pain can become strength, that all silence can become a cry for freedom. At the end, she was applauded, not for having won the Campos, but for having won herself. After the event, Isadora visited the old country house. It was for sale. She walked through the rooms, the smells and the memories. Nothing there had any power over her anymore. It was just a house. She went to the mirror in the room where she had cried so many times in silence and smiled. Now that woman reflected in it was whole, strong, hers. As she left, she looked back one last time, not with sadness, but with gratitude. Sometimes life breaks us down only to show that we can rebuild ourselves even more beautifully. Isadora no longer needed acceptance. She had found something much greater, identity. And so, with the past behind her and the future in her hands, she left. Not as a rejected daughter, but as the author of her own story.